Hello guys, welcome to the second part of Connecting Network Chapter 4 ACL. Okay, so today we're going to look at the second part, which is the extended IPv4 ACLs. Okay, so this is something new to you. Alright, so we're going to look at what are the difference between standard, which you have learned earlier, versus the extended IPv4. Okay, alright, so So for extended IPv4 ACL, it gives you a more flexibility, all right, compared to standard. All right. Okay, so if you look at here, okay, you can configure a standard ACL similar to standard ACL, which is the number and name. Number will be different from standard, which is 1 to 99. Extended will start from 100 to 199 and so on. Okay, you can always use name similar to standard. Okay, so in real world implementation, we use extended ACL more than standard because it gives you a better, a more detailed permit and deny statement. Okay. Okay, so the main benefit is because you can filter on protocol based on protocol and port number. Okay, if you recap that standard allows you to block only up to source address. That's it. I cannot specify what type of port, which translates to what of application that I can block. Okay, right? So I'm going to put here a bit, right? So give you whole network specific host, source, and destination address plus port number. Okay. So right here is an example here. Okay. Alright, so these two is the same, right? Where I can specify if I want to allow, okay, this is the source, right, to anywhere via telnet, which is port 23, or you can put the word telnet. Port 21 FTP and your FTP data. So when you configure, you can use either port number or just the name of the well-known port. Okay, so EQ means equal. All right, so I'm going access list for 114. You know this is extended because of the number more than 100. Okay, permit TCP. This is the source. This is the whole network. The destination is any. All right, so what type of protocol equals to 23. Okay, right. So this is the full syntax of the extended ACL. Okay, here is a given example. ACL 103 allow request to port 80 and 443. Okay, let's look at in R1. Okay, so you want to configure this nearest to the source. Remember, it's the totally opposite of standard. Access list 103 permit TCP 10.0 0.255 the whole network. Any to destination any equals port 80, right, for HTTP, and then 443 for the HTTPS. Okay, all right, and then the establish to allow responses that originate from to return to the network. Okay, all right, so which interface do you want to enforce is here. So it doesn't matter whether it is standard or extended. Okay, you need to have the ACL rules and then you need to enforce at the interface. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Applying extended ACL is similar to standard ACL, except that they should be applied as close to the source. Alright. The main reason why do you want to configure or enforce nearest to the source is because that your ACL rules is already specific from source to destination. Therefore, you want to remove, okay, unwanted traffic from traveling unnecessary into the network. That is why you configure at the nearest to the source. Okay, right? Okay, here is another example. FTP traffic from subnet 168.1 going to subnet 10.0 is denied, but all other traffic is permit. Okay, so if you look at here, 101 deny TCP 11.0, okay, equal FTP, alright. And then I'll have another deny one for FTP data, and then the last one I have permit IP any. Alright, even extended also follows into this rule. For every SS statement, you need to have one permit statement. Else, the implicit deny will deny everything. Okay, right? Okay. So here is an example of using name. Okay, you can use the same way as how you create standard name ACL. Right, so this is two surfing and browsing. So permit users 192.168.1.0 network to going from port 80 to 443. Okay, so you have two SSDs here, surfing and browsing. So let's look at both. Surfing here, okay. So permit, all right, 10.0 destination anywhere equals port 80. So this is for HTTP, and 443 is to allow the HTTPS. So always remember, whenever you create an ACL, there will be a hidden statement down here. Okay, deny any. So this is for browsing. Okay, right, and then the last part you need to enforce inbound and outbound in this case. Right, also nearest to the source. Okay, alright, so this is how the show IP access and show IP access list verification you will see. Show IP interfaces, okay, it will tell you at that particular router, do you have an ACL enforced or not, and it also tells you whether it is inbound or outbound. Okay, here is an example. You won't see the difference between extended and standard over here. Okay, so when you show IP access list, okay, it will tell you, right? If you can recall earlier, it was standard. This is extended, so it will tell you the extended IP access list, browsing. This is the group for browsing, this is the group for surfing. I personally comfortable to use name ACL because it's easy to keep track. Okay. Alright, so an extended ACL can be edited in two ways. Okay, remember ACL is configured based on sequence. So the first sequence that you configure will be at the top. Alright, the next one will be the next line and so on. Okay, so if you require to put, for example here, a new rule which is supposed to be at the top, you need to modify via text editor or sequence number. Okay, I'll give you an example over here. Okay, I have extended ACL example. All right, so I have the first ACL, ACL1, ACL2, ACL3. Okay, all right, so take note in designing your ACL, especially extended, whatever which is specific, for example, denying a host and compare it with denying a network. The statement to deny host should be at the top. Deny host A from HTTP. So deny host A. Second is permit host any host from network A for HTTP. Okay. For HTTP, okay, I'm going to show you here example. Okay, this is an example. Alright. Okay, when you do extended, the specific one supposed to be at the top here. This is an example. Okay, first is deny from same network, deny host A for HTTP. The second one is permit any host from network A for HTTP. Okay, So this is the correct sequence. The specific one is up, the general one is at the bottom. Okay, let's say for example, okay, you configure the ACL number 2 first. Then only you configure this one. The sequence will be wrong. Okay, so for you to change the sequence, you can follow this method. Okay, so you can either change the text editor using text editor, or the easiest way is you to look at the sequence number. Whenever you do show IP access list, you will see the sequence number here. 10, 20, it will have 10 incremental. Okay, so it will be something like this: 10, for example, 20. Okay, so let's say I want to block. Let's say it's a requirement block host B from network A for HTTP. Okay, so this is the requirement. Okay, you know this is something specific, so it should be on top of ACL number 2. Okay, so if you just configure this, alright, by default it will go number 30, something like this. So you will have number 30 here. 30 here. Okay, ACL number 3. Okay, this is by default. So when this happen, okay, when you do the testing from host B, okay, the checking will go sequential. ACL1 does not match, check the next ACL. So when the next ACL happen, host B are allowed to go for HTTP. You have the rule, however the sequence is wrong. Okay, so in order to change the sequence, okay, what you need to do is changing sequence. Changing sequence. Okay, the first one is you need to delete first. Delete the ACL3. Okay, ACL3, and then you need to reconfigure using sequence number. Okay, so the correct one will be you need to choose any number in between 10 and 20 so that it will be at the top of 20. For example, it should be number 15 deny host B for HTTP. So once you have like this, the final one will be something like this. Okay, it will no longer be here. It will be somewhere here with the number 15. Okay, so that's the idea of using a sequence number. Okay, remember in ACL, the sequence of the rule is very important. Whatever specific will be at the top. For example, you want to deny or you want to allow a certain host, it has to be at the top. Whenever you have permit or deny for the whole network, it should be at the bottom. Okay, always check and always do the testing. Okay, alright, so in here they provided you 4 scenarios to test. Okay, so I hope you can do this one. Alright, we shall discuss later on this. So that's all for today. Thank you.